because if you don't, there's not enough white guys to have elected Donald Trump.
Right.
That's the demographic truth. So the only way that these guys can win, like the Vulture and the Kochs, is if you knock out the votes of the non-white guys.
I read the news today, oh boy.
It's time for Nicole Sandler's What's News from NicoleSandler.com and the Progressive Voices Network.
Saturday officially marks the 100th day of Donald Trump's administration.
100 days, 100 nights.
100 days. We are 6.8% of the way home. Paid for by Anybody Else 2020.
To commemorate the milestone, he's given a number of interviews, including one with Reuters, in which he admitted,
"This is more work than in my previous life. I thought it would be easier.
I thought it would be easy.
I thought it was more of I'm a details-oriented person, I think you would say that. But I do miss my old life. I like to work, so that's not a problem. But this is actually more work. And while I had very little privacy in my old life, because, I've been famous for a long time, this is much less privacy than I've ever seen before. I mean, this is, something that's really amazing."
he thought getting rid of NAFTA was going to be easy, too. Remember this?
NAFTA was the worst trade deal in the history of this country.
Somebody said to me, "When are you starting on NAFTA?" I said, "Wait a minute. I did this. I've been here like 51 days. Give me a chance." We're going to do something with NAFTA that you are going to be very, very impressed with. That's going to be an easy one, folks. That's going to be an easy one.
Not so fast, Mr. Apprentice-ident.
Well, I was going to terminate NAFTA as of 2 or 3 days from now. The president of Mexico, who I have a very, very good relationship, called me. And also the prime minister of Canada, who I have a very good relationship, and I like both of these gentlemen very much. They called me and they said, rather than terminating NAFTA, could you please renegotiate? I like them very much. I respect their countries very much. The relationship is very special. And I said, I will hold on the termination. Let's see if we can make it a fair deal. Because NAFTA has been a horrible deal for the United States. It's been very good for Canada. It's been very good for Mexico. But it's been horrible for the United States. So they asked me to renegotiate. I will. And I think we'll be successful in the renegotiation, which frankly would be good because it would be simpler. And so I decided rather than terminating NAFTA, which would be a pretty big, shock to the system, we will renegotiate.
Are you sorry that you treat me unkind? Never you mind.
He also said that we might have a war with North Korea.
Well, there's a chance that we could end up having a major conflict with North Korea. Absolutely.
Saturday is the official 100th day, but Saturday night was supposed to be the White House Correspondents' Dinner, with the Oval Office resident the most notable no-show. Why, you ask?
I'm treated very unfairly and very dishonestly by the press, and I thought it was inappropriate to go this year. If I were treated even slightly fairly by the press, I would have gone. But I mean, look, they're writing stories about how unfairly I get treated by the press.
Speaking of the press, Reporters Without Borders just released its World Press Freedom Index for 2017. The United States now ranks 43rd, down 2, just below Burkina Faso and Belize. They cite the election of Donald Trump, who declared the press a, quote, enemy of the American people in a series of verbal attacks toward journalists, while attempting to block White House access to multiple media outlets in retaliation for critical reporting. They also note that, quote, despite the bleak outlook under Trump, it bears repeating that his predecessor left behind a flimsy legacy for press freedom and access to information. Journalists continue to be arrested for covering various protests around the country, with several currently facing criminal charges. To this day, American journalists are still not protected by a federal shield law guaranteeing their right to protect their sources and other confidential work-related information. In other news, Sean Spicer stepped in it again on Thursday when he was peppered with questions about how Michael Flynn could have made it through the vetting process to become Trump's national security advisor. And Spicer did what the 45th administration keeps doing. He blamed it on Obama.
He was issued a security clearance under the Obama administration in the spring of 2016.
The Obama administration. It went on like that.
In the Obama administration, during the Obama administration, under the Obama administration.
To be fair to Sean, it is a legitimate question as to whether the Army and the Defense Department under Obama renewed Flynn's security clearance without sufficient diligence, especially given that Russian trip and the Russian money. But that is not the same thing as appointing and vetting Flynn to one of the top national security positions in the U.S. government. And remember, Obama fired Flynn from a lower position in the national security community.
Blame it on King. Don't blame it on me.
On Friday morning, the Orange One signed an executive order reversing President Obama's restrictions on gas and oil drilling in the Atlantic and Arctic Oceans, and Congress passed a continuing resolution to keep the government open for one more week. And finally, the numbers are in, showing the U.S. economy grew just 0.7% in the first quarter, the weakest showing in 3 years. Way to go, Mr. Resident. If you appreciate these What's News segments and the Nicole Sandler Show, I hope you'll consider a contribution. We are 100% listener supported. Find all the details at NicoleSandler.com/donate.
I thought it would be easier.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
It's Friday, you bastard. Really? That? What? Uh-huh. What? Oh, no? Okay. You know. Adorable. Very cute. They did. The Upper East Side. Yeah. Huh. Hell. I am. Freedom! Oh, dear God. Allegiance, sir. 99 days of fear on the wall. Oh. 99 days of fear if one of those bombs should happen to fall. 98 days of fear on the wall. What? We're winning, everybody. We're winning. Winning. Didn't you think the other side was going to be? We all did, because that's what he said. He said that he would have so much winning that they would get sick of the winning. The Republican sycophants would, and now it looks like we're winning. I mean, complete failure, everybody. Complete failure in 100 days. This is more than we could have asked for. Woohoo! Good for us. We asked for him to be a complete failure, and we got it. Yay! No signature legislation. Zero, zip, goose egg, donut, squat, nada, nothing. Zilch, baby. Empty. Empty hole of a man. No wall money, no Trump care. Ooh, I was looking at this new poll. The new poll says only 20% of all Americans think that he'll get Trump care through. Only 20% think he will repeal and replace Obamacare, down from 50% in January. Oh my God, 30% are starting to wake up. Everybody's getting woke. Woke, everybody. Woke. Welcome to the world. Welcome to the real world. Oh my God. No tax bill whatsoever. Just a back of the napkin, 100-word laughable piece of swill that would have enriched him. No jobs bill. How's that going for you? No jobs bill, Appalachia. No infrastructure bill. No budget. In fact, today, we got a 1 week, just like I said. Man, I am so freaking good. I gotta say, sometimes I even surprise myself. Surprise! Wasn't that amazing? It was totally amazing. What did I say? I said that they would end up with a 1 week continuing resolution, a clean CR, to fund this government for one lousy week. One week. Now that should have been a slam dunk for the Trump. I mean, it's just a 1 week extension, and even that it was going along. It was doing just fine. They actually had a budget. The Republicans and the Democrats actually agreed on a budget, and then Trump inserted himself into this mess with his threats about gotta have the funding for the wall or I'll shut the government down. I want this health care vote taken or I'll shut the government down. But nobody bothered to write any legislation. And so there was no vote taken, and no vote will be taken on the wall money, and no vote will be taken on health care at all. At all. So we have 1 week to live, 1 week to keep our government open, because when he inserts himself, governing is nearly impossible. Winning for me, for you, celebrated. It's unbelievable. I mean, this is incredible. There was nothing complicated, nothing problematic about a spending bill until Trump put himself in the middle of the process, and then he clogged the whole legislative process like a tampon in a toilet in a public restroom. Oh, please, women, no, we're pigs. There is no place worse than a woman's restroom. Although I've never really been in a men's. Is it worse? I doubt it. You got to see what we do. Who leaves the toilet paper on the floor like that? Who does that? Who actually is doing that? No woman I know would do it, and yet it's there all the time, every time. It's just disgusting. Stop it. Well, so now Congress has another week to work, and the White House has another week to screw things up and get a win. He hasn't been able to get a win. It's just unbelievable. Syria, he dropped a bomb. Afghanistan, he dropped a bomb. Now he's threatening to nuke, I swear to God, North Korea. You heard this, right? Yeah, I'll play you the little clip from this another bizarre interview. We read the other interview he did the other day. Remember that? We sat there and read the thing. It was bizarro world. Want a Coke? In the middle of talking about nuking North Korea, want a Coke? Because he figured out how to work the buttons on the phone to make people bring him a Coca-Cola. This is so sick. This is what he's managed to do in 100 days. He figured out how to call the butler, to bring him a Coca-Cola. Try a diet. God, that ass it's ginormous. It sits beside him. We ought to name that thing. I'm going to put like ashtrays on it. I'm going to put my little rum and Coke on it. That thing is like a table, man. It's like, wow. And he's got the nerve to criticize other people's bodies? I mean, if I had an ass like that, I would take it out for a walk every once in a while. Oh my God, that thing is just unbelievable. But anyway, he did bring back the axis of evil. Let's give him that, okay? That's me. He did bring back the axis of evil. He brought back, instead of, Iraq, Iran, and North Korea, you remember, states like these constitute an axis of evil. Remember that? That was the State of the Union that I walked out of. I was actually invited to that, and I walked out of it as soon as he said that. As soon as Bush said that, states like these constitute an axis of evil. And, oh, Dick Cheney sitting behind it. Yeah, that was so now it's Syria, Iraq, and North Korea. We've just, it's Syria, Iran, and North Korea. Yeah, sorry. Those are the ones they want to bomb. And, we did manage to bomb Syria. He missed bombing Iran. He bombed Afghanistan instead. And now he's threatening, to pretty much nuke North Korea. This is unbelievable. So we did bring back the axis of evil. Racism is on the rise. Everybody happy about that? Good. Yeah, that's like a good number today. His sanctuary cities thing failed in the court. And by the way, are you aware of this? Judge Orrick was the one that struck down the defunding of sanctuary cities by executive order, pointing out to Donald Trump there are 3 co-equal branches of government, and Congress is the one that would appropriate or disappropriate, if there's such a word, the money. The president can't do that. So remember Donald Trump attacked the Ninth Circuit? Yeah, Judge Orrick isn't on the Ninth Circuit. He attacked the wrong court, okay? He's an appeals court judge. He's not on the Ninth Circuit. Okay. So maybe he'll learn in the next 100 days, how the actual circuits work and what an appeals court is and the next court that will hear the funding of the sanctuary cities will be the Ninth Circuit, but it wasn't the Ninth Circuit. So anyway, we have no wall money, we have no health bill, we have no tax bill, we have no jobs bill, we have no infrastructure bill, we don't have a budget, we got a 1-week continuing resolution. His sanctuary cities was struck down by the court. His Muslim ban was struck down by the court. Not one, but two. Count them 2 times. And those are only the places we paid attention to, right? Because there were jurisdictions nobody even bothered to look at, like Massachusetts. NAFTA can stay. China is fine. And 0 pieces of significant legislation. And the lowest poll numbers of any newly elected president since we started keeping track, which was way back to Eisenhower. Congratulations. You chose well. You morons. All right. Hello, Gail in Sacramento.
Hi, Randy. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I am great. It's so wonderful to talk to you. I've been a long, long time listener.
Oh, thank you.
Just a couple things. Our individual group meets every Tuesday on a very busy street in Roseville, where we protest in front of our congressman's office. And we were going to do it for the first 100 days, but we are now going to do it for the duration. And it is the most wonderful, inspiring hour of our day.
Nice.
Thank you. So this morning I was thinking, what do I want to do? So I went to the webpage and I donated $100 in tribute to Trump's first awful 100 days. And I would just like to challenge everybody out there, all your great listeners, your fans, to do the same. And let's raise some money for you.
Oh, for me?
On the air. Yes, for Randi Rhodes.
Oh, for me? Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would be great because it's the end of the month. I just wrote all the checks. There are a lot of them. I'm shaking today. Always shake at the end of the month because you got to pay the rent, you got to pay the cable bill, you got to pay the employees, you got to pay everybody, you got to pay everything. And I'm a little shaky here. Yeah, I just
we are self-employed, so I completely understand.
Ooh, it's hard.
Healthcare, I get our insurance on the exchange.
Me too.
And I'm just all in for you, Randy. I've been listening to you for so long. You're just the smartest, most articulate. You break these things down so we can all understand them.
Yeah.
And I just want to throw this out there for everybody to donate. If you can't donate $100, 50, 20, buy a Stinkin' podcast, Randy.
Oh, that is so sweet. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you for that. All right, so let's do $100 for 100 days. Let's do that. That'll really help. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, we do. We actually we need money. There's no question about it. I hate to say it, but we do. So his first 100 days. Okay. I think he benefited from the low what did Bush call it? The soft expectations of lowness or something. Do you remember that phrase he turned about the soft bigotry? That's what it was. The soft bigotry of low expectations. That's what Trump has benefited from because he's actually a complete failure. And that doesn't stop Spicer from, saying the contrary. This is what he said. He's celebrating. I mean, they're celebrating this failure of a presidency.
Historic obstruction by Senate Democrats. He's worked with Congress to pass more legislation in his first 100 days than any president since Truman. And these bills deliver on some of his most significant promises to the American people.
So far, he's signed 28 bills. This is a lot. This is more than any president for the last 100 years. George Bush did 7. Donald Trump did 28. Harry Truman did 55, and FDR did 76. But this is what they're touting at the White House. Now, none of the bills that Trump has signed, none of them are significant pieces of legislation. Absolutely none of them. We will take the break, and when we come back, I will go through. I will go through the pieces of that he calls legislation, and explain to you what he's actually signed into law. And that they're claiming victory, everybody, because there were so many of them. Of course, I'll just give you a hint. 13 of them were bundled. They were bundled in one thing. Yeah, let's put it this way. One of them gave crazy people the right to own a gun. That was one of them. Do you remember celebrating that with me? We did. We celebrated it. Because you would hate to discriminate against schizophrenic people. You would love to see them armed because they have rights too. And we did celebrate that fact, that it was the end of discrimination against the mentally ill.
Clear for takeoff. The Randi Rhodes Air Force. Air Force. RandiRhodes.com.
We did it, you bastards! We're live! And it only took 2 years! Okay. All right. So we're back, we're live, and you're there, and we're here, and ain't that great? Now let me just tell you that if you want to listen whenever and wherever you'd like to listen, just go to RandiRhodes.com, click on podcasts and swag, and get your podcast commercial-free, on demand, on any device. RandiRhodes.com. Open all day, every day.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1978. That was the day a West Virginia cooling tower under construction collapsed, plunging 51 workers to their deaths. It was considered the worst non-mining disaster in West Virginia history. It's also the worst accident in the history of the country's construction industry. Cooling towers were under construction at the Pleasance Power Plant at Willow Island. Union building tradesmen built up the walls of the tower from scaffolding bolted to it. As each section was poured, the forms would be removed and the scaffolding raised and bolted to the new section. The tower had reached about 168 feet when the previous day's concrete walls began to peel away from the tower. The scaffolding plummeted, as did the workers. Many could only be identified by the contents of their wallet. The Steele family was beyond devastated with the loss of 10 family members. In a 2008 retrospective by Ken Ward Jr. of the Charleston Gazette reported, quote, "A mix of safety lapses combined to bring the tower crashing down. Concrete in the previous day's lift hadn't hardened enough to hold the scaffolding. Key bolts meant to attach the scaffolding to the tower were missing. An elaborate concrete hoisting system was modified without proper engineering review. Contractors were rushing to speed construction." Dr. Celeste Monfortin of the Milken Institute School of Public Health noted that the case highlights still relevant issues: inadequate OSHA penalties, no criminal sanctions, holding workers responsible for contractors' mistakes, ignoring of previous warning signs, and a disconnect between abstract calculations and real-world applications. Kent Ward Jr. noted in his retrospective that in 2008, there was still no state public employee OSHA program in West Virginia. For more information, go to laborhistoryin2.com, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at laborhistoryin2.
Well, it's clear that something's very, very wrong with the nation's economy. It's experiencing anemic growth. Our middle class is shrinking. Retirees are facing nationwide pension crises, with many pensions being underfunded and headed toward insolvency. The stock market's super volatile, and many experts say it's way overpriced. The Trump administration is MIA with their amazing economic plan for America. So how are you feeling about your economic security? Call my friends at ITM Trading. Just speak with one of their precious metals experts about gold and find out why now is the perfect time for gold. Learn why gold survives every government, every currency, every economic crisis. Call ITM Trading today at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and they'll send you a free gold buyer's guide. They've helped tens of thousands of people acquire physical gold and silver, and they can help you too. Call 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 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 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit RandiRhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
And they are the precious, wonderful, inclusive party.
It has something to do, I think, Sean, with who is president, don't you? The number of Democrats, as you say, who supported actually paying some attention to the national sovereignty just 10 years ago to about 2009, 10, Those people are gone. They are now Schumerites. They are, the acolytes of the head clown, as President Trump calls him, and they have been clowns. And what I can't understand, actually, Sean, is why anybody takes the left seriously in this country. I really think the president is in a very good place. He has done more than any president in recent history, certainly in the last half century, in the first 98 days of his presidency. And to sit here and to watch, Laura, bless her heart, she's trying to be nice to Paul Ryan. As you know, I never have worked very hard to be. I think the man is absolutely a disaster. He's become nothing less than a caricature as House Speaker. He's inept, and the conference, if they don't get rid of him, we're going to watch this nonsense go on in perpetuity.
What's so frustrating, I know you have actually called for the Speaker to step down.
Absolutely.
And you're one of the few. What's so frustrating is the opportunity that's presented to the country before us to really institute change. We've been going over in this program. I won't put up the list tonight. But all the accomplishments of the president, keeping his promise, checking off his list. He's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But he's done a really good job.
Well, he's pretty close to perfect, Sean.
He's pretty close to perfect, everybody.
Everything he can do on his own, he's doing.
He's worked his tail off, still is. Yeah. Meanwhile, taking care of national defense, national security, and all the challenges that aren't on the Trump agenda. I mean, it's truly remarkable what he's doing, and the credit that he is not receiving for what
he's doing. Dobbs and Dumber, everybody. There's the new show that'll replace Bill O'Reilly. Dobbs and Dumber. It was an audition. There's no doubt in my mind. Ever since I used to do Lou Dobbs' show every Tuesday. I wonder how many people go back that far with me when he was on CNN still. I used to go every Tuesday, but then he started pre-recording his shows and editing them and changing what people were saying to him to make himself look better because he couldn't withstand the arguments from people like me. So I just told him to go F himself. I seriously said that to him. Still wearing that same damn suit, that same damn pinstripe suit. And then he got banished. He was shunned. He was, ostracized and kicked off CNN. And they put him on Fox News where he did not last. And then I think he's on Fox Business News, but I don't know, like what hole they put him in, like a slot. They stuck him in some slot, and he's in some hole. So now I'm sure he's auditioning. I'm sure that is unbelievable to me. He's pretty close to perfect. Sean Hannity, Lou Dobbs, pretty close to perfect in his first 100 days. I mean, that's not entirely wrong in this way. If we could get at least 2 more years of this nothingness that is the Trump administration, no action whatsoever, I'd be really happy, wouldn't you? It would be great if this is the way it went until we got to the midterms and we could actually give, get the House into Democratic hands and impeach the crap out of it. Which, by the way, Richard Painter, this is amazing. Richard Painter, the guy who was Bush's W. And I know it's a shocking thing that W had an ethics advisor, but he did, especially on businesses and stuff. And Richard Painter was saying last night, Joy Reid was filling in for Brian Williams. That's a good move. Not that MSNBC gives a damn what I say, about anything ever. But I love Joy Reid. I do. And I can't stand that Brian Williams. I hate that 11th hour. Like every night, if I'm flipping through the channels, which is what I do because I try and mix it up. I try and get like a lot of protein in my diet, but low carbs. And the sugar, is the Dobbs and Dumber thing. I just do it in little snippets, little pieces, see what I could grab. But then, around 10 o'clock, I watch Chris Matthews. I do like Chris Matthews. And then, it's right over to CNN and right through to, Don Lemon. And then when they go to a commercial break, I might switch over to the MSNBC. And every time Brian Williams comes on and he says, the 11th hour is next, I always say the same thing as I change the channel. Not in my house. Every night I say that. At 11 o'clock. Not in my house. So you could say it with me tonight. You could tweet me if you want at 11 o'clock. I'll answer you. But follow me at Randi Rhodes. I always want to say .com, but it's just at Randi Rhodes on the Twitter. So anyway, Joy Reid was tweeting last night. She said, who's watching me? So I tweeted her and I said, I'm watching you, killing it. Because she was filling in for Brian. And it was really, really, really good. And she had on the show last night Richard Painter. And Richard Painter literally used the T word. It was amazing. He used the treason word with regard to what Michael Flynn had done and what it looks like this entire administration got involved in with Russia and, cooperating with them, colluding with them, doing all kinds of weird crap with them. An adversary of ours, a hostile nation, toward democracy and the whole nine yards. And he also called for the impeachment of Donald Trump. It was like breathtaking. It was so good.
Sally Yates, who was the acting attorney general during their time when they had come into the White House, actually went to Donald Trump, to the White House, to the president, and warned him that Michael Flynn was a problem, that he was having these dealings with Russia that he wasn't mentioning. Is it possible, probable in your view, that this could all just be something Donald Trump knew nothing at all about, meaning Michael Flynn's activities?
I have no idea what President Trump knew, but there are people high up in this administration who obviously know what's going on with the Russians and aren't disclosing it. And we need to get that information. All of the relevant documents concerning Flynn and the Russians need to be turned over to Congress right now. And if they are not turned over, Congress needs to subpoena them and enforce the subpoena. It is critically important to get all of the information out. I do not know what President Trump knew about this, when he knew it. I do not know, but we need to find out. We need to find out who in this administration was cooperating with the Russians in conducting espionage in the United States.
Espionage.
And disseminating information that had been stolen from the Democratic National Committee and elsewhere last year. This is treason. What's going on here? We have an attempt, a successful attempt by a foreign power to undermine the American democratic system. They're doing the same thing in France right now to try and elect an extremist government over there. And we cannot accept this in the United States. All of the facts have to come out now. Congress has to insist upon it. The Republicans need to join the Democrats in a bipartisan effort to get to the bottom of this Russia thing. And what Michael Flynn did of taking money from the Russians in violation of the Emoluments Clause of the Constitution, then lying about it, is criminal. And that needs to be dealt with. And the president himself needs to stop taking emoluments from foreign governments. These are unconstitutional payments. He needs to disclose his tax returns, disclose the information we have a right to know about who is financing his businesses. Enough is enough. And Congress needs to demand that information now.
Wow.
Have to play for
that was amazing. That is, I mean, people are getting very hip on both sides now. Richard Painter, obviously, Republican, but he has filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump for taking emoluments, for taking money from foreign governments, and more plaintiffs are joining his lawsuit. He's like, Flynn committed acts of treason. We need all the documents. We got to figure out, everything that happened with this Russia thing. Congress ought to really stop cooperating with the president, covering up. And that is exactly what that's exactly what, Nunes is doing. That's what Sean Spicer is doing, blaming Obama for Trump's selection of a previously fired defense intelligence officer without vetting him is somehow Obama's fault. I mean, how they get there from here, I have no earthly idea, but it is just so bizarre. Anyway, so I said I would tell you the bills that Trump signed, just so that you know. And they are 3 bills that appointed... Can you close the door? Because I can hear you. Huh? Oh, yeah, no. Okay, so he's got 3 bills that appointed individuals to the board of the Smithsonian Institute. The museums. That's 3 of his bills. 2 named buildings. 1 designated a location for a national monument to the soldiers of Desert Storm and Desert Shield. And then a bundled package of 13 bills that reversed the Obama regulations on crazy people being able to have guns, mentally ill having guns, and internet privacy. And those bills were bundled up through something called the Congressional Review Act that we passed back in 1996. And it gives Congress a very narrow window to reverse the regulations of a previous president, and so he had to get these 13 bills bundled and use the Congressional Review Act authority in order to undo. That's his legislation. That's it. Now, I will say that, if you want to look at a past president, let's look at FDR. In 100 days, FDR he signed 15 major bills, less than Donald Trump. But what were they? Well, let's see. The Agricultural Adjustment Act that established subsidies for farmers, the National Industrial Recovery Act that started the public works, the infrastructure projects. He signed bills that legalized the manufacture and sale of beer and wine. That's pretty damn important now. He established the Federal Deposit Insurance Corp, FDIC insurance for banks, and the Tennessee Valley Authority. That's the same. That's the same as naming somebody to the board of the Smithsonian. It's got the same impact on your life, doesn't it? Yeah, it's the same as naming buildings. It's the same as saying, we'll build a monument over here for the soldiers of Desert Storm and It's the same. FDIC naming somebody to a museum board, same thing, right? Equal. Yeah, it's just And Obama, he had signed an $800 billion stimulus package by this time in his presidency, and did the Lilly Ledbetter Pay Act, which allowed women to sue their employers if they were able to, so that they could find out whether or not they were making what a man in the same job in that company was making. That was Lilly Ledbetter's big push. Was she never knew. She never knew. She worked all those years, and she never knew that she got paid less. She wasn't allowed to know, and that's what the Lilly Ledbetter Pay Act was. But that's the same. That's the same as allowing people who are mentally ill to have a gun. Right. All right, Paul in Woodinville.
Hey, Randy. Here's my thoughts. Once we get control of the House, that is the Democrats, control of the House, we don't impeach them.
Oh, what?
No, and here's why. Because do you know how many in the Senate for removal from office? You know how many votes there have been from the same party as the president to convict? In the two previous impeachments, there have been 0 votes from the president's party to remove him from office. 0 votes from the Democrats when Clinton was impeached, and it happened to be 0 votes from the Republicans when Andrew Johnson was impeached. So what we would have would be a hostile witness as the president while the Democrats control the House. But what is a better strategy is to say, okay, buddy, you're going to be our little patsy now. Otherwise, you're going to be the most disgraced president in the history of history and threaten to ruin his brand unless he starts playing ball. You see? And start saying, we're going to make deals. We're going to make all kinds of great deals. You're going to sign a whole lot of great deals that we're going to give you, and we're going to call them bills. All right? Just for our sake, we'll call them bills this time instead of great deals. And then you can sign them, and you can look really good. Otherwise, it's disgrace time.
Well,
we're not going to be able to rule them.
Okay. Let's not go back to the Andrew Johnson,
right.
All right, because that's a long ass time ago. But we could look at Bill Clinton, okay?
Right.
All right. When Bill Clinton was impeached, what was his approval rating? I know you know.
Well, his approval rating was pretty high.
Yeah, it was like 65%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is not that.
No, I know that.
Okay, this man has the lowest approval rating of any modern president. Only 20% of people in this country believe he will do anything meaningful on Obamacare, that he will repeal and replace it with something better and something beautiful, something fantastic. Nobody believes this man. I mean, trustworthy numbers are in the toilet. This is not Bill Clinton, okay?
No, I understand that, but Randy, you have to look at this.
The crime, Paul.
Yeah.
Would be treason.
Right, and this is what you do.
And the crime for Bill Clinton was lying in a sexual harassment lawsuit and parsing words. That's what the crime was in a civil suit.
Are you okay? Here's the other thing: is if it's treason, then he has to be convicted of treason by Congress also. Only Congress can convict of treason.
But that's the Senate, right? That's what would happen.
Well, but that's a different process. That's a different process than impeachment. Impeachment and removal from office are one process. Then you have to put him on trial for treason and be convicted of treason by the House and by the Congress. So
if the House indicts him for
right.
All right, and the Senate convicts him, I think that's a no-brainer.
If the House, well, but you got to look at it this way: how many Republican senators do you think you can get? First of all, you have to say how many senators can, because in 2018, 24 of the 33
Paul,
are Democrats.
Paul,
the Democrats are defending.
Only 37% of Americans think this man is honest, okay? Only 44% think he's an effective manager, okay? Only 37% think he's uniting the country. 42% believe he's got empathy for people, okay? Fewer now say that they have any confidence in him to handle the economy. Only 35%. 27% of Americans say he appoints the best people. This is not Bill Clinton. This is a failed president. This is his honeymoon period, and everybody hates him already.
I get that, and you're preaching to the choir here, because the problem is when you're looking for, you're giving me these statistics. Those aren't the people in the jury. Do you realize that of the 48, millions upon millions more people are represented by the 48 Democratic senators than the 52 senators on the Republican side? So when you're talking about the people when you say 37% have his approval rating, that's about the number of people that are represented by the Republicans in the Senate. 52 senators represent about 37% of the country.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying Wyoming does not vote to remove? Okay,
right.
I get it. Wyoming doesn't. That's great.
And Alaska and
No, Alaska will.
Well,
Alaska will. Listen, let's get him impeached first, then we can have this discussion in a meaningful way.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Happy Friday.
Bye. Bye, Stinkin' Podcast. Thank you. All right, 43 after.
To speak to Randy, call now, you bastards. 561-270-3844.
Hello.
The Randi Rhodes Air Force. For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit randyrhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
Bye, Stinkin' Podcast. Oh, I love Herky Jerky. Big protein, big flavor, big packs, little carbs. And that's why my favorite snack is jerky, but not just any jerky. Oh, no. It's Herky Jerky, the official snack of the Randi Rhodes Air Force. And it comes in elk and buffalo and beef and bacon and venison. And oh, my God, the bacon. It also comes in hot, mild, or 14 other incredible flavors. And for the month of April, all Randi listeners will get a surprise sample pack. But for those of you who don't like surprises, it's going to be turkey bacon. It's going to be so good. No promo code is needed. Just go ahead and order 2 packs of anything and you'll get a free sample pack of turkey bacon. It's so good. Beef, elk, venison, bacon sticks. Most amazing things. They bite just perfectly. And the bacon is a slab. You put it on your BLTs. You just munch it right out of the bag. Put it in a salad. You're going to love this. Go to herkyjerky.com and get yourself some jerky and get a surprise. It's going to be turkey bacon. And take them with you everywhere you go.
You're listening to WIN, Workers Independent News, a diversified media enterprises production. I'm Doug Cunningham.
The future of safety and health for working people in this country, I think, is uncertain and indeed may be in danger.
AFL-CIO Safety Director Peg Seminario. The AFL-CIO Wednesday released the report, Death on the Job, the Toll of Neglect. 150 U.S. workers die every day from work-related injuries and illnesses. The number of immigrant workers killed on the job is at a 10-year high. Despite this terrible toll on workers, Republicans in power in Washington, D.C. have already moved to roll back health and safety protections for workers.
Under the Obama administration, we made significant progress, particularly dealing with some very serious and longstanding hazards, improvements in enforcement, and a real focus on worker rights. I think, unfortunately, where we are today is that that progress is threatened, and we are certainly facing great challenges. There is a strong push for deregulation and rollback of protections.
AFL-CIO President Rich Trumka says corporate negligence and weak safety laws have resulted in tragedy for an astonishing and unacceptable number of working families. Trumka wants to see government strengthen, not weaken, health and safety for workers. 8 Yale student workers are on a hunger strike to get Yale to stop stalling and recognize their newly formed Unite Here Local 33 union. The students won an NLRB union election, but Yale is still making them wait to start bargaining on their first contract. Charles Decker is one of the fasting Yale student workers.
I think any group that tries to change the status quo in a significant, visible, disruptive way is told over and over again to wait.
Yale student worker Emily Sessions and the other hunger strikers are tired of waiting, and they want their union recognized. Sessions says equal pay is a big reason that she backs the union.
I want a union because I want a contract that guarantees equal pay for equal work.
Senate and House Democrats are proposing to raise the minimum wage in the U.S. to $15 an hour. In response, Fight for 15 issued a statement from fast food worker and pro-union activist Terrence Wise. Wise says Democrats support $15 because they know it's the bare minimum workers need to live. Wise says he and fellow worker activists will keep striking, marching, and speaking out until every worker in the country wins $15 an hour in union rights. WIN is brought to you in part by the Amalgamated Transit Union, the largest labor union representing transit and allied workers in the U.S. and Canada. Online at atu.org. You've been listening to WIN, Workers' Independent News. For more information, visit laborradio.org.
The Randi Rhodes Show is live on randyrhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or progressivevoices.com now.
As we hit the traditional 100-day judging period, as you noted, 44% approve of the job the president's doing, but 54% disapprove. That is a historic low, 11 points lower than the previous low. That was Bill Clinton at this point back in 1993. Tough numbers here for the president. On this question, how's he doing keeping his promises? The American people are largely split. 48% say the president's doing a good job keeping his big campaign promises. 52% say a poor job. So we'll keep an eye on that one as we get to the second 100 days. It is here, Jake, where the president's having a hard time on the big issues, the economy, healthcare, and immigration. The markets have been strong. The job report's good. Yet only 49% of Americans approve the president's job in the economy, down 6 points from our last poll 7 weeks ago. Down a lot on healthcare as well. The Obamacare repeal debacle taking a toll on the president. And the White House would say he's doing a good job keeping his promises on immigration, but the American people clearly don't like what they see. He's down a little bit on approval on immigration as well.
Yes, it's really bad. And then when you get really deep into this poll, that's when you start to see the really puny numbers, the really pitiful numbers, the really small, tiny, itty bitty little hands all over, different. So what you get is 53% unfavorable ratings, honest 37%. That's down 6 points. Being an effective manager of government, down from 50 to 44%. Down on uniting the country from 43 to 37%. Down 4 points on empathy for the American people, from 46 to 42%. And an even divide. Country still, the verdict's still out on whether or not he can bring the kind of change the country needs. We are divided again, 51 saying he can't, and 48 say he can. However, confidence in Trump to handle the economy, 35%, down from 40% in November. appoint the very best people. I'll pick the best people. I got the best people. I know the best people. Only 27% think he's appointing the best people, down from 32%. Let's see, handling of foreign affairs, 27% now. Providing real leadership for the country, 31% now. And of course, Republicans approve of him, 85%, and only 8% of Democrats do. Most white men approve of him, 51%, but that's still, right there on the cusp. Only 38% of women. Only 38% of women approve of him. Non-whites, 68% disapproval. 68%. And 38% of whites who at least hold a bachelor degree approve of him. Only 38% of educated people. I love the undereducated. I love you. I love the stupid people. That's what he said to the people of the United States. All right, Charlie in LA. Oh, my fault. No, you're on the phone with him. All right, go to Brother David.
Well, there's another national anthem playing, not the one you cheer at the ballpark. Where's my prize? And that barely third of us that were hoodwinked by this are soon going to find out that there's no prize in store for them. Many of them are already starting to glom onto it. Hi, sister, it's Friday.
You sound like Dick Cheney. Don't do that.
I'm sorry. The quickening is upon us.
Yeah.
It's upon us with a vengeance. Hi, chat room. Gail from Sacramento had the right idea. Just wanted to put that out there. $100 for the first 100 days. I approve that message. Go on.
Who was it? Robert? Was his name Robert? Somebody just gave us $500. So let's do $500 for the 100 days.
Well, everything's inflated in the world of he whom I refuse to name. Yeah. I do take one bit of issue. He actually has won at something, and that is personally enriching himself and his own at the expense of the American people. Even the Mar-a-Lago golf weekends are earning him money. That's it.
Yeah.
Zip. Zero. Goose egg, as you said.
I know, it's unbelievable. And by the way, when I read this list of failures, when I tell you no money for his wall, no health care, no tax bill, no jobs, no infrastructure bill, couldn't pass a budget to save his life. We got a 1 week continuing resolution to keep our government up. We're going to limp along like this week to week. What a great nation we have here. No signature legislation whatsoever. Of course, the court struck down his Muslim ban 2 times, the sanctuary city 1 time. China is fine. NAFTA can stay. Only 20% think he's going to repeal and replace Obamacare. What we left out was that he has traveled. Cost us more than Barack Obama in 8 years because we're paying for his travel and his protection. He seems very unhappy in the job. He said, it's much harder than he thought. He thought running Trump. He thought the Trump his little boutique branding business was really a lot. But being president was it's much more difficult than running the Trump organization. He's very lonely. He can't go anywhere because of this massive protection force around him. He quite frankly, he's miserable. So
so are so many more of us. A capital U period, capital S period, and that's why I think we're seeing a spin towards, I pray it's not President Orrin Hatch, but every person on the line of succession, until you get to Hatch, is implicated, if not in it up to their silver fox scalp lines.
Jeff Sessions had to recuse himself from the Michael Flynn investigation.
That's right.
No, our Attorney General of the United States, Jeff Sessions, was on the TV. I think he was on Good Morning America. Yes, that's what that is. I have the clip standing by. I'll play it after the break. Saying that, he can't get involved in the Flynn because he was on the campaign. He was on the transition team. He was on the... Yeah, and so now he can't look into whether or not you have an ex Defense Intelligence Agency officer lying on his security clearance forms, committing acts of treason. The Attorney General is in no position to actually work on this case.
Exactly, or as I call him, the walking Confederate monument. It really is that deep, and it really is that systemic, and it is unprecedented. So we, the peeps, as we can, will, and must, because we are actually the real government, have to keep doing what we're doing, the rallies. There was one in Kansas City that started out as a violence against women rally, but it ended up becoming an which is our name for him in our household, rally. We need to keep showing up, and we need to keep pushing back, because we are winning.
An anti-what?
Well, my word for him is the British vulgar. I won't say his name. That's all he has. That's my form of protest. That's why he's an anti-rally. President, that's who he is. Because that's the vulgarization in Britain. That's what his name means. Sister, I love you always. How's Loretta?
Oh, she's great. Thank you. All right. Have a good weekend. Bye. Dana in Maryland.
Hi, Randy.
Hi,
How are
Dana.
you?
Great.
Hi. Good. Hi, chat room.
Hi, chat room.
Randy, thank you for everything you do. I'll continue to contribute what I can because you save us.
Thank you.
You know, I mean, it's like, you know, we're all kind of laughing now because it is also absurd.
Well, it's all very funny until he nukes North Korea and then South Korea ceases to exist. I mean, this man is
deranged. Yeah, absolutely deranged. I just wanted to make a quick comment. So about 2 hours ago, he spoke in front of the NRA.
Yes.
And not only did he brag about his electoral win, he called her Pocahontas. Why?
Who? Elizabeth Warren? Because he's a racist.
Yes.
Because he's a racist, and when he looks at he looks at people, he thinks of childish names for them. He's just like every conservative radio talk show host who had to make up stupid names for everybody and everything. They think that this is solving some problem.
He's a bully, and he's
They're
disgusting.
all bullies. They're all
disgusting.
bullies.
I just don't understand what the blatant racism. Why doesn't someone just tell him to shut the fuck up?
Well,
seriously, half the crowd, by the way, was booing.
Was what?
Because half the crowd of the NRA people were booing that comment.
Booing?
Like, come on, man. You know.
Well,
really?
you know what was so interesting about that?
And I was like, whoa, okay.
You do realize that that at the NRA, the National Rifle Association, hosted Donald Trump. No president has spoken to the NRA since Ronald Reagan.
Yep.
However, you do realize that the at the place they had to check their guns at the door. They weren't allowed to bring in their guns. I wonder why. I know. So, you know, that's an interesting, I mean, you could bring a gun to church, you could bring a gun, but you can't bring a gun to the National Rifle Association. Okay, you're getting on my last nerve.
It's Friday.
Oh, it's Friday, everybody. Freaking Friday. Bring back Evelyn Farkas. You can talk about whatever you want today. You understand that. It's like open line Friday, but yeah. So I got to play you a couple things. Forgot to play in this first hour. The interview with Reuters, bizarro world, just how miserable he is being president. He's very unhappy. Now he's got this friendship with President Xi in China. And he really wants to bomb North Korea, but he's got to ask President Xi first. And Xi is not open to bombing the Korean Peninsula. And how lonely he is and all this. And we have great TV this weekend. I don't know if you realize it or not, but we have fabulous freaking TV. I haven't been excited about TV in a long, long time. But there's good stuff on Hulu even. Really good stuff. There's good stuff on C-SPAN.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randy, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Buy a Stinkin' Podcast.
I am super sexually satisfied. I'm genuinely 100% more satisfied with my sex life than I was before Randi Rhodes came back on the air. Hi, I'm the Howard, and yes, it's true. I'm actually 100% more sexually satisfied than I was just 1 day ago. And I didn't grow a mustache. I didn't get an awesome new tattoo, and I didn't join a CrossFit gym either. I just bought a Randi Rhodes Air Force t-shirt. And when I did, I told Randy, Well, there, I've done my part. How do I look at my awesome new Randi Rhodes Air Force 100% super soft cotton tee? Randy said, "That's it? That's all you did to support this unfreaking, unbelievably hard effort? Okay, Howard, go fuck yourself." So I did. And I have to tell you, I still got it. Get your super soft Randi Rhodes t-shirt at randyrhodes.com. Just click on podcasts and swag and order yours today. You'll feel a lot better after you tell Randy.
I'm David Pakman, host of The David Pakman Show on the Progressive Voices channel. Check out this clip from my show. Jeff Sessions is the American Attorney General, sort of the chief law enforcement officer, the chief lawyer of the United States government. He seems confused about how the United States legal system works, or maybe he just doesn't really like the state of Hawaii. Sessions said last week that he is, quote, amazed that a judge, quote, on an island in the Pacific was able to block Donald Trump's majority Muslim country immigration ban. Check it out.
We are confident that the president will prevail on appeal, and particularly in the Supreme Court, if not the Ninth Circuit. So this is a huge matter. I really am amazed that a judge sitting on an island in the Pacific can issue an order that stops the president of the United States from what appears to be clearly his statutory and constitutional powers.
So if you haven't heard this story, you're probably thinking, oh, some island on the Pacific, there must be some foreign country in the Pacific that's interfering with our legal system. Is Fiji? Is Fiji interfering? Is it the Federated States of Micronesia? No. The judge that Jeff Sessions was referring to is U.S. District Judge Derek Watson, an American federal judge, and the obscure and outlandish island in the Pacific that Jeff Sessions was referring to is called Hawaii, which, according to my research, is a state in the United States of America. Last month, Judge Watson was the judge who struck down Trump's second attempt at a majority Muslim country immigration ban, and now Jeff Sessions is taking it out on Hawaii. U.S. Senator from Hawaii, Mazie Hirono, tweeted, quote, "Hey, Jeff Sessions, the island in the Pacific has been the 50th state for going on 58 years, and we won't succumb to your dog whistle politics." Hawaii Senator Brian Schatz tweeted, "Mr. Attorney General, you voted for that judge, and that island is called Oahu. It's my home. Have some respect." When someone like Donald Trump says something ignorant about the courts, it's bad. It's really, really bad. But that's one thing. Trump is, as we know, not a lawyer. But here we have the most senior lawyer in the government of the United States showing open and unabashed disdain, either for the federal court system or for Hawaii, where he says maybe what he means is Hawaii is just not really a state because they're out there in the Pacific Ocean. I don't know whether it's disdain for the court system or for Hawaii. But the Attorney General is supposed to be reverent toward and fastened to the judicial branch of government. What he's saying is disturbing. And I'm afraid to say that not only does Jeff Sessions have a long history of this sort of disrespect of the law, but he also has a history of making racist remarks. So it's not entirely surprising that this is coming from Jeff Sessions. Maybe it's something about Native Hawaiians that he has a problem with. I don't know, but none of it is making sense. If this ruling had come from a U.S. district court from southern Florida, for example, would Jeff Sessions have said, "Oh, I'm amazed that a judge from a peninsula between the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean is able to make this decision"? I don't know, but this is very scary stuff. Great again? Is America almost ready to be great again? When you hear the Attorney General saying embarrassing stuff like this, it's hard to believe that we're any closer to it. This is being discussed along with many other stories on our Reddit discussion forum. You can subscribe free and participate at davidpakman.com/REDDIT. You've been listening to part of The David Pakman Show on the Progressive Voices channel. For full audio and video podcasts, interviews, and more, go to davidpakman.com and check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The David Pakman Show.
The Randi Rhodes Show is brought to you by our partners at ITM Trading. Call them at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and ask for a free gold kit. 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's perfect. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe it. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
I am not replacing him.
Don't wrinkle the suit! 100 days in office, so many accomplishments, lowered my golf handicap, my Twitter following increased by 700, and finally, we can shoot hibernating bears. My boys will love that.
Sir, here's a new bill that you must read immediately. It lowers taxes for only Republicans.
Can't Fox News read it? Now watch what they say.
No, you have to read it.
The new Supreme Court Justice Ivanka takes Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat on the bench. You can buy Ivanka's robe with gavel earrings for only 1,000 rubles.
You said you'd replace me with Garland! Oh, God, this is horrible. This was supposed to last me the whole 4 years.
Marge, please, give the President of the United States some time. He's only 70 years old. Help! They're taking me back to where I came from!
Where is that?
I don't remember!
100 days. We are 6.8% of the way home. Paid for by anybody else 2020.
We have great TV this weekend, swear to God. The Simpsons are going to celebrate the 100 days of winning, the incredible amount of winning that Democrats have had. So, there's always a way to look at it, right? The Democrats are winning. We are winning. Not that anything good is happening for people who need things to happen for them. I mean, nobody that pays, for their health care and can't really afford the deductibles is going to get, any help from this administration. Nobody that needs a jobs bill is going to get any help from this administration. People who need, want the infrastructure bill, they're not getting that. There's no budget that, I can find. We have a 1-week continuing resolution. There's no money for the wall, everybody. No money for the wall. Sanctuary cities will still be funded. China is going to be left alone. You've got NAFTA stays. So for those of you who hate that trade deal, it stays. Racism is on the rise. The Muslim ban was struck down by the court, not one, but 2 times. And he wants to bomb North Korea. You know why? You know why he's talking like this on North Korea all of a sudden? He is terrified of next week. Next week, we really start the hearings in the House of Representatives. Next week, I don't know, the Senate is doing something really, really evil and untoward. I think the Senate is... they're stalling on their investigation so hard that I really do believe it's this. I think it's for this reason. I think that they are not an investigatory committee. I don't think they have the resources to do any investigation on the House Intelligence Committee. I don't think that they are in, that they have 7 part-time staffers working on this Russia investigation, part-timers. They just hired a woman, April Doss, to help them. She came from the National Security Agency to help them on the Russia thing. But I really believe that they would like to see an independent prosecutor or some sort of a select committee on intelligence do the investigation for them, because you have a president who is asking for war powers, or is insinuating that he won't even go to Congress to get war powers, that he will say that North Korea is an imminent threat and that he will nuke them on his own. Do a preemptive strike, which he can do without Congress. So it's a little creepy, but I just wanted to play for you the stuff that he said to the Reuters people. He sat down for an interview, and the very first thing he talked about was this this situation that he created with bringing back the axis of evil. Iraq, Iran, and North Korea is now Syria, Iran, and North Korea. Powers like these constitute an axis of evil. Now, where did it get us? Where did it get us? I thought, it was America first with this guy, and these foreign adventures were so bad. They were sad. They were wrong. He was against them. Remember? He actually sat there and argued, even though he was for it and told Howard Stern, well, I guess I'm for the invasion of Iraq. He said that he was against all these foreign invasions. He was against foreign incursions. He was against nation building. He was against all of it. Well, now all he does is drop bombs. He gets pissed off and he drops a bomb. He gets pissed off and he bombs an airport in Syria, not damaging the runway because the Russians said, don't damage our runway. That's where we have our planes. So let us scramble them and we'll get out of the way. And then you could bomb, around the airport. Just leave our runway alone. And of course, we don't miss. Those of us in the military, we don't miss. So those bombs landed exactly where they were supposed to land. And obviously the idea was not to disturb the Russian airport, not to disturb the Russian, runway. So we did that. And then we dropped a Moab somewhere in the hinterlands of Afghanistan, doing absolutely no good whatsoever. And now he's talking about, he actually used these words. He said, quote, there is a chance that we could end up having a major conflict with North Korea. Absolutely. Now that sent a shiver down my spine because this man does not know what he's doing. He spent 10 minutes with President Xi, remember? And President Xi told him that the history between China and North Korea is complicated and all this stuff and blah blah blah. Oh, so now he said, "Oh, I didn't know it was so complicated. He didn't know healthcare was so complicated. He didn't know being president was so complicated. He knows nothing." And to have him threaten, an attack on North Korea, and everybody understands what that means. It means the only successful attack on North Korea without killing 25 million people, or at least putting the lives of 25 million people in South Korea, just 30 miles south of the demilitarized zone in, there's a 38th parallel has a demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. That's where we started the Korean War. That's where America ended the Korean War. Now, of course, Donald Trump doesn't know that because he didn't think we ever lost a war because he forgot Vietnam, which is his era, and he forgot Korea, which is his era. But of course he didn't serve, so it's not. He said his Vietnam was the AIDS epidemic because he couldn't stick it into enough places. And he was worried that he would die that way. Okay, so here's what he told Reuters. This is like so freaking creepy.
Well, there's a chance that we could end up having a major conflict with North Korea. Absolutely. It's unacceptable. It's a horrible deal made by Hillary. It's a horrible deal, and we're going to renegotiate that deal or terminate it.
When are you going to announce that?
Very soon. I'm announcing it now.
Okay.
Well, my problem is that I've established a very good personal relationship with President Xi. And I really feel that he is doing everything in his power to help us with a big situation. So I wouldn't want to be causing difficulty right now for him. He's a friend of mine. He's actually I think he's doing, an amazing job as a leader.
He has no words.
And I wouldn't want to do anything that comes in the way of that. So I would certainly want to speak to him first.
Before he bombs North Korea, he would want to speak to President Xi. And the deal that he's blaming on Hillary, he wants South Korea, and this blew up South Korean Twitter last night, because there are reporters that work. There's this one guy, Will Ripley. I don't know if you ever heard of him. Will Ripley works for CNN. He is like the only American reporter in North Korea. How this guy risks his life doing this, because, once you go there, there is no guarantee you will ever come back. Unless you're Dennis Rodman, who I really think needs to call Trump. Because the one thing that Rodman knows is Kim Jong-un. And they asked him last night, do you think Kim Jong-un is rational? And he goes, I don't know. I don't know him. Let me just say, his dad died. I can't believe he thinks like that. He said, his dad died and he was only 27 years old and he had to take over the whole regime. And, that's not easy to do. So he's done a very hard thing, taking over this regime of North Korea. a place that is called the Hermit State because there is no press whatsoever except what he tells people on his state-run media. They are isolated from the entire world. Most of the country is starving. They don't have food. He puts them in work camps, literally concentration camps, work camps. He kidnaps anybody that comes in from any other place, except for North Korea, that tries to report on. And this guy, Will Ripley, is actually in North Korea all the time reporting. It's crazy. And so anyway, you have all these people in South Korea also reporting for us for places like the New York Times and the Washington Post, like real newspapers do, real, like Reuters does, like McClatchy does, like CNN, worldwide does. So you have all these reporters, Washington Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal reporters, and last night they were tweeting that South Korean Twitter just erupted because this is so mafioso what he's doing. He threatens to bomb North Korea. Okay, that's what he said to the Reuters people, and that's a global news agency. He threatens to bomb North Korea and then turns around and says, hey, South Korea, we have a anti-missile defense system that we're setting up for you right now, just in case the crap really hits the fan. But even though Hillary told you, the United States promised you that we would give you this anti-missile defense system, it's the thing called THAAD. We want you to pay for it. We want you to give us $1 billion. I mean, you talk about protection money. Here's a guy that's threatening to blow apart the democratic state of South Korea because he's threatening North Korea. And they will, of course, if you attack North Korea, they will go to war immediately 30 miles south of the demilitarized zone in Seoul. And in Seoul, South Korea, there are 25 million people that live there. And so we're in the middle of setting up this anti-missile defense system, and he says to them in the middle of this interview, well, I want them to pay for it, and I want them to pay $1 billion, and if they don't, I'm going to renegotiate or terminate the U.S. Free Trade Pact that America has with South Korea. I mean, this is like, I never knew it, but it was Barzini all along. I mean, this is such mafia stuff. That's why he's doing this. He wants $1 billion from South Korea, and he's scaring the bejesus out of them. And their Twitter blew up last night. And so they said, well, when were you going to announce that you're going to hold South Korea up for $1 billion as you rattle the cage in North Korea and you escalate your words and you move, entire aircraft carriers into the region and you threaten nuclear war? When were you going to tell North Korea that they had to pay you $1 billion to complete the THAAD system? And he said, very soon, I'm announcing it now. And that's why Twitter blew up in South Korea last night. Just saying. Then they started asking about the job, and where are you getting your information? And, how are you managing all this? And, do you understand what you're doing? And he said, well, it's hard. It's harder than I thought. And the media is very mean to me. Swear to God. So he goes from, I'm going to nuke North Korea, and South Korea better pay us $1 billion to defend them from these missiles that North Korea is likely to, lob into South Korea because I'm going to attack them in some way. And then he starts complaining about how nobody's nice to him and he can't go to a restaurant.
Well, I love my previous life. I loved my previous life. I had so many things going. I actually, this is more work than in my previous life. I thought it would be easier. I thought it was more of I'm a details-oriented person. I think you would say that.
No.
But I do miss my old life. I like to work, so that's not a problem. But this is actually more work. And
it's more work.
While I had very little privacy in my old life, because, I've been famous for a long time, this is much less privacy than I've ever seen before. I mean, this is, something...
unbelievable.
Something that's really amazing. At the same time, you're really into your own little cocoon because you have such massive protection that you really can't go anywhere.
That bug you?
Yeah, I mean, I was able to go out to restaurants, and even though people knew who I was, I like to what?
You like to drive.
Yeah, I like to drive. I can't drive anymore. I'm treated very unfairly and very dishonestly by the press, and I thought it was inappropriate to go this year. If I were treated even slightly fairly by the press, I would have gone. But I mean, look, they're writing stories about how unfairly I get treated by the press, so I just felt it was inappropriate. I thought it would be very disingenuous if I went. I thought it would be actually in a certain way dishonest if I went.
Okay, he's talking about the correspondence dinner that's happening on Saturday night on C-SPAN. He's not going because the media is mean to him. And so he doesn't want to try to win them over with his force of personality or make jokes, self-deprecating ones about himself, or roast the media, or do any of a million things that he could do to win, some sort of respect, or to try and carve some relationship with the press, because the correspondence dinner in Washington, D.C. is one of the best nights they have. There's two great nights. There's the gridiron dinner and there's the correspondence dinner. I've been in the correspondence, but I've never been in the gridiron. That is still a lifelong, not with this president, because I have to wait. But Saturday night on C-SPAN, there is the correspondence dinner, and everybody is going, except for him. It's his protest, everybody. He's boycotting. He's not going to show up. He's just going to ignore because they're very, very mean to him. And if you get him angry enough, he just might bomb North Korea and then let South Korea get hit by not completing this anti-missile defense system that we promised them. This man is so untrustworthy. I mean, no leader of any democracy around the globe is going to take this man's word as meaning anything. And that is bizarrely dangerous.
For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit randyrhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
Well, the Trump administration suffered a humiliating defeat on health care. So next up, the Trump economic plan. Are you familiar with a game called Three Card Monte? All you got to do is find Trump's amazing economic plan under the cup, and you win. Where is it? Is it over here? No. Is it over there? No. It must be over here. No. Unfortunately, like so many things, Trump, it's just another big con job. So when it comes to your own financial future, don't play the game. Protect your wealth. Use a timeless, tried and true investment like gold. Call my friends at ITM Trading at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and get a free gold kit and learn how to diversify your investment portfolio with precious metals. Call ITM Trading today at 1-888-OWN-GOLD for guidance from their precious metals experts. They have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and they've helped tens of thousands of people buy gold and silver coins and bars. Let them help you too. Call 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
Do you ever have those moments where you kept quiet, then wish you had said something when you had the chance? Welcome to She Persisted. I'm Melissa Carter for the Progressive Voices Network. I recently went to California for a long overdue visit with a couple of friends, and these two women live on different sides of Los Angeles. So I decided to Uber my way to each, saving these ladies gas in traffic having to pick me up. Now, normally while on vacation, I order Uber XL. Very self-indulgent. Maybe, but these cars are usually driven by limo drivers looking for extra cash. And that means leather seats, bottled water, and an excellent sound system. But not this time. I called Uber from downtown LA, and an SUV did come, as promising, but the overwhelming smell of cigarette smoke choked me as soon as I got inside. And as we headed to Burbank, I realized he also had no air conditioning, and the trip was going to take about half an hour. And that still wasn't the entire problem. Do you live around here? He asked, a little surprised, looking around the less than upscale neighborhood. No, I said, just visiting a friend. Where are you from? He asked. Atlanta. There are a lot of black people there. I couldn't believe it. I shook away the shock, ready to respond, but realized I was in an unfamiliar part of an unfamiliar city to me, so I decided to let it be. And then he continued. I mean, there are black people here, but there are a lot of black people in Atlanta. Stunned. at this continued racism and his assumption that this blonde white Southerner would automatically agree, I remained silent and didn't speak the rest of the trip. I was physically nauseous by the time I got out of his vehicle, either from all that smoke or my decision not to let this guy have it. Or maybe both. I did report him to Uber, so there was some action taken. However, in moments like that, when someone's offensive behavior is allowed, I can't help but feel disappointed that I didn't stop that behavior in the moment. I suppose racism still catches me off guard. This has been She Persisted for the Progressive Voices Network. I'm Melissa Carter.
Tales of American Political History with Clinton Porter Hackney.
We've been discussing the first assassination attempt on a U.S. president, which was aimed at Old Hickory himself, Andrew Jackson. By January 1835, would-be assassin Richard Lawrence was deep into wild hallucinations, but had gone back to work at his paint shop. Following the death of Congressman Warren Davis, the president announced he would attend the funeral at the Capitol. It was a damp, humid day in Washington, D.C. Richard Lawrence left his paint shop with 2 pistols. He arrived at the Capitol before the services and said he had planned to shoot Jackson on the way into the funeral, but he couldn't get close enough for a shot. As Lawrence waited outside for the end of the service, Tennessee Congressman Davy Crockett sat near the president, and when they got up to leave, the two walked out together. Join us again for the dramatic encounter between Lawrence and Jackson. This is Clinton Porter Hackney at cphackney.com.
All things Randy at randyrhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, The Randy Rhodes Show.
We are going to start winning big league on trade, militarily. We're going to build up our military. We're going to have such a strong military that nobody is going to mess with us. We're not going to have to use it.
North Korea just fired a ballistic missile. They just fired. Just now. North Korea test fires ballistic missile. South Korean military tells Yonhap news agency, I'm getting this from BBC, says this breaking news story is being updated and more details will be published shortly. Please refresh for the fullest version. All right, I'm refreshing. And it says it was not immediately clear how far the missile had traveled. It was fired from a site in South Pyongan province, north of Pyongyang, in the early hours of Saturday morning local time. Of course, it is Saturday morning local time in North Korea right now. They said the type of missile is not yet known. There has been no word from North Korea. This breaking news story is being updated. Please refresh. Refreshing. Nothing more to report. All right, then. Scott, are we going to spend every weekend like this? I just want to know, really, because I have to like pace my drinking by whether or not we're having, mutually assured destruction, on a weekend. Because if we are, I don't want to be sober for nuclear winter. I live in Florida. I have no coat. Scott in Alameda, California.
Hey, Randy. So I'm calling about, this is the subject I'm calling about, the THAAD system.
Yes.
Trump is using this as the terror, the whole conflict as terror and leverage and obfuscation and distraction from all of his problems, the Russia and everything else. His inability to govern, Congress's inability to govern.
Well, you do know what's been going on though with the ICBMs, don't you? I mean, the United States fired an ICBM the other morning. It was a successful test. It was unarmed. It didn't have anything. It had no ammunition, but we did fire it. And now North Korea, he's threatening them in this Reuters. And Reuters is a global news network, so obviously, it made it around the world. Last night, South Korea Twitter exploded because people are freaking out about this THAAD.
Yeah, it's just awful what he's done. He just said that off the cuff. He says that off the cuff. He says, "Oh, major." My God, man.
I know. And now,
my God.
And now, this morning in North Korea, because it is morning in North Korea, they just fired their ballistic missile. And we don't know whether it was armed or not, or what happened to it, or where it went. No one knows how far it went, or what is the deal. We're just waiting to find. I keep refreshing the page. I'll keep refreshing. Yeah.
Well, I've been calling because the things have changed now. If they did fire a missile, everything's changed now.
Yeah,
it's gone from rhetoric to action now. Okay, but what I was going to say is to address his rhetoric, people on the West Coast and in Hawaii should be calling their Congress members and every congressperson they can think of to demand the THAAD system for the West Coast. Put the THAAD system in Washington, Alaska, Oregon, California, and Hawaii. And if they say they can't do it, make them explain why.
All right, so let me just update you. North Korean test fired a ballistic missile on Saturday local time. Korean news service Yonhap reported, blah, blah, blah. Yonhap, that news organization, reported the test appears to have failed.
Yeah. I just hope everybody
Let
gets
me tell
that
you
message.
something. The idea that we are now all consumed with freaking North Korea is so incredible. Yes, it's incredible. It's bizarro world. It is absolutely
incredible.
It is. And
But,
you know,
but it's a street fight. It's a street fight. So what do you do in a street fight? You fight with everything, and the way that you got to get these people to respond to exactly what he's doing is force them at every issue. And the basic issue now is if South Korea deserves THAAD, then Washington deserves it, Oregon deserves it, California deserves it, Hawaii deserves it. And if you can't afford it, tell me why. Call your congressperson.
well, what makes you think we don't have it?
I don't think we have it. Do you think we have it?
Yes.
I don't think we have it.
I do.
Where you need? Yeah. Well, okay. That's a good argument. But guess what? Make them prove that they have these defensive systems. Okay. Make them prove it. Force them on every single issue. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
All right. Thanks. Have a good weekend, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
We got good TV. We do. We have a good TV. You know what I'm watching tonight? Tonight I'm going to Hulu. I want to watch The Handmaid's Tale. That Margaret Atwood. Everybody says, oh, she did that. They're so stupid. She did this. Margaret Atwood did this to mock Donald Trump because The Handmaid's Tale is a story of, misogyny, like to the nth degree. It's a book that almost every woman has read who reads, except Margaret Atwood wrote this book in like 1985. So it had nothing to do with Trump. But of course, they all think everything has to do with Trump. Everything has to do with Trump. No, these ballistic tests have everything to do with Trump. But the Margaret Atwood doesn't. So that's on Hulu if you get Hulu. If you have a smart TV, you do, just so you know, and an internet connection. See, my mom's got a smart TV, but no internet connection. She doesn't know what to do with an internet connection. But I bought her a smart TV hoping she would, allow the installer to install a little something on the TV. She said no, because it involved another remote control, and she didn't want it. So she can't watch The Handmaid's Tale. And then Saturday night, which she would love. And then Saturday night is the Correspondents' Dinner on C-SPAN. And then Sunday is The Simpsons. But Sunday is also the return of my boyfriend, Anthony Bourdain. Yes, I have many boyfriends. I am an open dater. None of my boyfriends come with benefits. They're just on the TV is all they are, okay? I have a crush on the weirdest guys, though. I mean, yes, Anthony Bourdain, everybody can see it. You can understand it. You can get it. He's a bon vivant. He's a world traveler. He's obviously liberal. He's fun. He's smart. He's, an ex-heroin addict. He's all those things. But I also have a crush on Austin Goolsbee. I know. You'll have to look it up if you don't know who Austin is. I have this massive crush on him. And every time he's on the TV, Howard changes the channel, too. I go, no, my boyfriend Austin's on. But Anthony Bourdain, he comes back to TV on Sunday with parts on. I'm so excited. I think it's L.A. this weekend. So he didn't really have to travel very far. I'm not impressed, but it is. No, it's L.A. It's L.A. Christopher in Rochester.
Hey, Randy.
Hi.
Hey, I bought a podcast 2 weeks ago.
Oh, thank you.
I broke down and got an annual one.
Oh, thank you very much.
I'm so delighted. My mother, by the way, was 85 years old. She loves you. She doesn't get you down in New York City, so I'm going to, and she doesn't do computers, so I'm going to take the podcast and a couple of them, put them on a CD and send it down to her.
Oh, wow. You are a good son. Thank you.
I'm also a tax guy, and I try to read the back of the cocktail napkin for Trump's plan, and I'm like, sweet mother of God, it's word salad. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. It's like I took our tax software and okay, what would this look like for most of our clients? It's nuts.
Yeah, it is not, because here's what they say. I mean, they tell us, the unwashed masses, that we could have what did they say? How many tax brackets did he get it down to? Like 3?
He's from 7 to 3. Yeah.
All right, so now we'll have 3 tax brackets. So let's say I'm in the 15% tax bracket. Do I now pay taxes in the 10? Or am I going to be bumped up to the 25? There's no way to know.
And you also forget the adjusted gross income part is what's going to be considered as part of the adjusted gross income. And what they fail to remind people, so he's going to double the deduction, so from $6,300 to $12,600.
Yeah.
But then he gets rid of the personal exemption, so that minuses you $4,000.
That's right.
It's all convoluted nonsense.
Wait, and out-of-pocket medical goes away, those deductions.
2106, if you're a small business, if you're a business person, you're a sales guy, and if you're on the road, if you're one of the truckers who listens to Randi Rhodes,
that's right.
This should really annoy you, because 2106 goes away. It would no longer be on Schedule A. So all those deductions for meals, when your company says you drive 10,000 miles, buddy,
right,
or you don't get to keep your job, well, you used to be able to deduct that off your taxes. That goes away.
So
a lot of my clients.
So does wait. There's more. So does state and local taxes go away? So does property taxes go away?
Guess what this is going to do? Inflation. Because the one thing he's willing to deduct is interest. We will
mortgage
see
interest,
18%
right?
interest. Yes, mortgage interest.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to end up goosing up all this capital that's allegedly going to come back into the market. I figured out if we took the 7.2 million people and just gave them $35,000 a year, that would be $252 billion. What they want to do is give away $4 trillion by reducing the corporate tax rate to 15% on the promise they may hire those people and bring us to zero unemployment, which we know would never happen.
Never.
So what's going to happen? Inflation.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you know what we have right now? When Obama left office...
Mental illness.
Yeah, it's bad. But what we have now is, they talk about, people that don't participate in the labor force. We went over this yesterday, so if you have the podcast, you should listen to that.
Yes.
Okay, and only 3% of people in this country are not participating because they can't find a job. Everyone else is either retired, in school, stay-at-home parents, whatever. So he would do better. I mean, there's 15% of people that don't work because they stay at home for childcare. He would do better to come up with a childcare plan, except the one he came up with gives back after you spend $6,000 a year on childcare, which is very low, by the way, for weekly childcare. But after you spend the first $6,000, you get $5.55 then in the next tax year refunded to you. I mean, he is screwing the working people of this country so hard, and they still support him.
And the other dirty little secret, the earned income tax credit is going to go away. Now, I work in Rochester. We have a lot of folks that are poor, and they increased the paperwork on tax repairs. We have to answer 2 pages of questions about a person who's getting the earned income tax credit with a penalty of $5,000 to us, the tax preparer. But we have to verify, to the level of nth degree, so that a woman with 1 or 2 children who works,
right,
who's a single mom, and she might get $4,000 or $5,000 back, which is the old earned income tax rate we used to get in your paycheck. Now you get it at the following year. Well, that now has 2 pages worth of questions that I have to answer. But if you have a $100 million loss and you put that on your return, I don't have to answer two pages worth of questions. It is literally a war on the poor, and the earned income tax credit is going to go away. That's as far as I can see. That's what they're doing.
No, this is unbelievable. This is a venal tax plan. That's the only word you can use. I mean, listen, it was written by the Goldman Sachs boys for the Goldman Sachs boys, and then we get to pay for it. So, who does he think he's kidding? And apparently there are still, 40-something% of this country that are being fooled by him to this minute. It's sad. It's sad. But
yeah, it is.
But I get it, and you get it, and that's all that counts. Because when people call you, and ask you for your tax preparation help, maybe they'll listen. Maybe they'll listen because they don't want to hear it from me. I'll tell you that right now.
By the way, you know what I do? I actually have a speaker that goes outside of our door, and so we play your show out loud.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
On South Avenue, Rochester, New York. And I actually got a client who was walking by one day. I never had him before. He goes, he knocks on the door. He says, "Is that Randi Rhodes?" I said, "Yes." "Then you bought a Stinkin podcast?" I said, "Yes."
That's so cool. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Have
All
a
right,
great
take care.
weekend. Okay, bye, Chris.
Bless you. Bye.
You too. Thank you. Oh, how sweet. I just got chills. Oh, man. All right. So, let me refresh before we go to the break, see if there's anything more. Not immediate clear. No word from North Korea. U.S. government source quoted by Reuters saying the tests had been unsuccessful. Oh, my God. Are we going to do this every freaking week? Stock up, everybody, and praise FDR. God rest his soul. In his first 100 days, he made the sale of beer and wine legal. Now that's a president. Thank God for him.
Clear for takeoff. The Randi Rhodes Air Force. Air Force. RandiRhodes.com. For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit RandiRhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
Buy a Stinkin' podcast.
Here's a sample of what you'll hear on the Leslie Marshall Show weekdays, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern on the Progressive Voices Network. Colonel Cedric Layton, founder and president of Cedric Layton Associates, a strategic risk and leadership consultancy serving global companies and organizations. Now, he founded the company about 7 years ago, but prior to that, he was in the U.S. Air Force for 26 years as an intelligence officer. He attained to the rank of colonel. He can be seen regularly on CNN, where he's a military analyst. Shortly after Donald Trump got into office on January 29th, there was a raid in Yemen, which he called a success. A Navy SEAL died. The family is suing the government over that death. A young American girl died whose father allegedly was a terrorist or related to a terrorist organization. When we just look from January until now, before we go into specifics, is this a bomb-dropping, war-mongering type of president from your experience, Colonel, with presidents that we have dealt with in most recent day past?
Well, that's an interesting question. I go back thinking about what it was like in the 60s, when we dealt with Vietnam and all those issues surrounding that. I think the times are different now. I'm not quite sure that we could say that yet, but what is certainly true about the Trump administration is that he is very quick to at least deploy forces into various areas. And when you look at, the idea of going into Yemen, with that SEAL raid, where the SEAL, as you said, lost his life, that, it may have very well been a poorly executed mission. However, I think there was some issues perhaps with the intelligence related to that. When you look at all of the things that, where U.S. troops are right now, it certainly has garnered a lot of headlines where things are, and you see, forces moving in places where we're not necessarily used to seeing them, or at least the reassertion of U.S. forces in certain areas. So it becomes, I think, at best a difficult thing to categorize right now, because one of the key issues that I have to deal with is, what is the strategy for all of this? And right now, I don't see a coherent strategy behind the moves that we're dealing with. It's possible that one could evolve, and these are, potential elements of actually a very good strategy, but it seems that they are more reactive than proactive in terms of how they are actually, put together, how the forces are deployed, and, all the actions that are taken here. That is one thing where this could definitely run us into some difficulty.
Hear the whole story on the Leslie Marshall Show, Monday to Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific on the Progressive Voices Network.
The Randi Rhodes Show is brought to you by our partners at ITM Trading. Call them at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and ask for a free gold kit. 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit randyrhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
Out of them. I'm going to bomb the shit out of them. I'm going to bomb the shit out of them.
Listen, you motherfuckers, we're going to tax you 25%.
Wow. I want to see this.
Well, so what I suggested, and I suggested it during the campaign, is I think removing that top leadership.
Who would remove him?
Probably the United States.
But do we have the intelligence
in
North Korea that would allow us, America, to do that?
Let me just say this. Do you think that over somewhere in the military operations, they've been practicing the ability to get in and get out? You know what I would bet? Yes. I don't have any inside information. I'm just a governor. But I think that the idea that some would be removed and the situation could be stabilized, perhaps, we're seeing some signals out of China, but it's always hard to read, but they don't appear to be as closely connected as they were. But I think it's an option that has to be seriously considered. And the saber rattling and the moving of armadas only gets you so far. And so I think this is a reasonable suggestion, and I welcome a debate on it because it is a very serious problem. And we can't afford to keep kicking the can down the road. But obviously you have to have good intelligence, you have to have confidence you can execute it, and if you don't do it.
Oh, Jesus. Mild-mannered John Kasich, that's who that is, talking about doing regime change in North Korea. I tell you, Republicans are just, they're backcrap crazy. In the end, even the mild-mannered ones, even the ones that, you think that they would confine their war to my womb. No, he wants to spread out now, and he wants to, actually do regime change in freaking North Korea. Oh, my God, man. This is off the hook. This is off the hook. I mean, even W didn't do it. Karen in Los Angeles.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Love you like always. I just wanted to let you know, I was listening to the gentleman who was talking about, from Alameda, California, about how we should have a THAAD system.
Yeah.
If they don't know, they already have fighter planes have been here over the last week. They've been parked at LAX. And because I live in by Long Beach, Steel Beach area in LA County, and I would go for my walks in the day, enjoying the beautiful beach air, and I'd hear this ridiculously loud, sound, which is the jet fighters. And I look up, and there's 3 of them flying and doing patrols. And at night, I could hear them flying over Long Beach. And I was picking up a friend from the LAX Sunday night to Monday, and he said that there were 3 fighter jets parked out there. So, I mean, and we have Air Force bases. So for them to be at LAX, I haven't really heard of that, and I haven't seen them do this many drills or just flying around patrolling in a very long time because I grew up in this area.
Well, I don't know what that has to do with. I mean, it could have to do with Russia because we keep on flying to the fail-safe point, and we just launched this stealth bomber, and Russia, we flew it up to the Russian bombers are trying to tease our bombers, which happens all the time. And now we threw, this stealth bomber at it so that they could see that. And, I don't know if it has to do with Russia or does it have to do with North Korea where he's threatening, we actually launched an ICBM this week.
Yeah.
It was, like I said, it was unarmed, but we did it. And now Kim Jong-un launched some ballistic missile. We don't know what it was. I mean, this is crazy. Why are we doing?
Well,
you cannot threaten the world this way and walk away. So why is he doing it?
Well, I'm just saying there definitely has been an increase of military.
I got a call
in my neighborhood.
Yeah, I hear you. I got a call a couple of weeks ago from a couple of people actually in Hawaii that listen, and they both told me the same thing. They said that they saw all kinds of activity in their sky. They saw fighter planes. They saw a lot of stuff going on, a lot of activity all of a sudden.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's getting real. And
it better not. I mean, this is crazy, man. This is absolutely nuts. First of all, our military, it's not the military I'm worried about. It's the leadership in the White House is so piss poor. You got these crazy people like John Kelly at Homeland Security saying stupid things like, if we built a wall, we wouldn't have a drug problem in the United States. You have this General Flynn, who obviously is some sort of a traitor to the United States. You've got, an attorney general that had to recuse himself. You have no people. We have no State Department. The positions are empty. We don't even have the ability to do diplomacy right now. We don't have staffing. He hasn't even nominated anybody. He hasn't even put anybody. This is craziness.
It's funny because what you were saying yesterday about you didn't understand the Republicans who would still be with them, and I was figuring out there's two types. There's the one which you were right. They really go see Jesus.
Yes,
they're like
yes.
they're gonna get their mansion in the sky because you don't like the condo in in Kansas. Okay, so there's that one, and then there's the ones that think they're rich, even though they're poor.
They don't think they don't think they're rich. They just think one day they will be Donald Trump. They all have these unrealized aspirations, and they think that if we lower taxes on the wealthy, then when they, I don't know, hit lotto or save up all their disability checks and, make one big deposit, I'm not really sure.
Right.
Then they won't be taxed the way the rich are, that they will be taxed at a lower rate because now they're rich. I mean, it's this aspirational, thing that obviously if we're going to go to war, this is not the time to lower taxes. Even if he's going to tease war, this is not the time to lower taxes. It's ridiculous. This is exactly what W did. He went to war, lowered taxes. We had an amazing freaking crash. I mean, the economy just tanked.
Well, the reality is, too, he's a real estate person, so he wants it to tank because he wants to go in there with his millions that he's getting from Dubai and Russia and come in and sweep up and buy as much real estate as possible. He's like, that 2008 wasn't good enough for him. He wants to redo it. He wants 2018, I mean, that also whatever he needs to do because that's all he knows is real estate when it really comes down to it. So, and people just haven't figured that out because, I do real estate also. Okay, so I can say this. That little kid on the playground when you were younger that lied all the time?
Yeah.
And you were sitting there, whatever happened to little Johnny? He became a realtor. Okay? He became a realtor. So there you go.
I thought he became a lawyer, but okay, realtor is good.
Realtor.
Right.
But thank you. You have a great weekend, okay?
Thanks, Karen. Stay safe. Thank you. Shannon in Chicago.
Oh, Randy, I don't know how you do it. Brains and body, and beauty to just make my Friday work. I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
Well, I was just sitting here and I was thinking, like, when I was listening to Trump do all this opiating, he reminds me of, so being a gay guy, he reminds me of going to the straight bar and you hear that one douchebag that is just running his mouth. And the whole time you're thinking, this guy has to have the smallest dick in the entire bar.
Yeah.
And he probably squats over the toilet and practically humps the urinal because he's afraid of it.
Okay, thanks for that. I really appreciate that image in my permanent Rolodex.
It's Friday!
Friday!
That's for your Friday, right?
You have to celebrate. You have to celebrate the small. You have to celebrate the growers, not the showers. You have to. I'm sorry. I mean,
well, just drink it away.
I mean, such a size queen you are.
Well, I was telling Howard, I said, this has nothing to do with this, but I miss hearing Howard Dean in the opening, opening credits. What happened to Howard's yell?
Well, for starters, he hates it. Okay, he really, really hates it. He does. It was only like this past presidential election that he would even talk about it because it literally. Do you remember when something like this could eliminate you from running for president? Do you remember when John Kerry had voted for an $87 billion bill, and then they changed some of the stuff in the bill. And
before he did, and then he didn't, and he was a flip-flopper, and he was the most horrible person on the planet because he'd been re-educated, and they changed things.
Right, and that was disqualifying. But now you have this world heavyweight champion liar who says he's going to renegotiate NAFTA, and he's going to do America first, and he's going to build a big, beautiful wall, and he's going to do tax reform for the middle class. He's going to do a jobs bill, and he actually goes back on every damn thing he ever said, and he's fine.
Well,
I don't get it. Whatever happened to? Oh well, you voted for the $87 billion before you voted against it. Therefore, you didn't understand that the in-house sound system had your mic up so loud, and so you were celebrating all these wins that you really legitimately had, and you got a little over enthusiastic, and that disqualified you.
Right. Being
but you got
proud
a
of doing a
guy,
good job, right?
But you got a guy who runs around and says,
I'm going to bomb the shit out of him.
Or promises to tax China.
Listen, you motherfuckers, we're going to tax you 25%.
And now he says China's fine. And I guess we're going to bomb North Korea to stop the spread of Sharia law. I can't even figure it out.
Who knows with him? I mean, the second thing I told Howard, though, was that, I think Breitbart should start its own channel there, especially they could get Bill O'Reilly and whoever the self-hating queen that wore the pearl necklace, Milo, whatever his name.
Yanakopoulos or whatever.
Yappy-dogalicious.
Yeah.
Yappy-dogalicious. Yeah.
I said, they could call it.
They are talking.
They could call it Cox and Fiends instead of Fox and Friends.
I used to work for the Cox Broadcasting Company, and I used to say it on the air all the time that I will work for Cox.
Did you just giggle like a seventh grader all the time?
Actually, yes, I did, but I was a seventh grader when I first started, so there you have it. But yeah, no, they're talking about starting a new, check this out, right-wing network because Fox is too liberal. And you know why they're saying that now? They're saying that because they have no lineup. They have lost every venal, rabid right-winger to boycotts, to advertiser boycotts. Every misogynist has been fired now. Every sexual harasser, every lion sack of crap has been relegated either to Fox Business, like Lou Dobbs. Oh, by the way, if we bomb North Korea, Lou Dobbs will say that he's not nearly perfect. He'll say he is damn perfect. It'll complete the circle for him. But Dobbs and Dummer, they're auditioning right now. They want out of there. And they are talking about bringing what is that? What is that? I don't know. No, I'm serious. They're talking about bringing a uber right-wing network, a serious, because Fox isn't right-wing enough for them. I mean, this is so twisted. But you just sit there and you say, Jesus, he brought up the Howard Dean scream, and I'm glad he did, because that little moment in time, that little snippet, that little recorded second from a bad soundboard operator who had this man's mic up a little too loud for him to be gleeful, which is what he was. He was winning all these primaries, Howard Dean was, with his 50-state strategy, which is the right way to go, by the way. And it was proving to be, really good. And, of course, some board operator had his mic too loud, and he was going, and then we're going to go on to this, like that. And that disqualified him. John Kerry, I voted for the $87 billion before I voted against it. That disqualified him. But you have a Republican that says, I'm going to bomb the crap out of them. And, of course, he was talking about ISIS, wherever he imagined they were. And then he said, to China, that's who he called the MF. That's who he was saying this to.
Listen, you motherfuckers, we're going to tax you 25%.
That's who he was talking to. And this was directed at ISIS.
I'm going to bomb the shit out of them.
So I guess we're going to bomb North Korea to stop the spread of Sharia law. This is all I could figure. You can make no sense of this man. And it doesn't really bother the right wing.
We will have so much winning if I get elected that you may get bored with winning. Believe me. I agree. You'll never get bored with winning. We never get bored. We are going to start winning big league on trade, militarily. We're going to build up our military. We're going to have such a strong military that nobody is going to mess with us. We're not going to have to use it.
And now he's threatening to use it against North Korea. And there's the I don't know if that's file footage or if that's real footage of the missile that was fired. This man, I swear to God, he's got to be stopped. This is beyond the pale. Well, listen, great TV. Beer and wine are legal. Thanks to FDR. Enjoy.
Interviews right here at the top of the hour.
Hello, Progressive Voices tune-in listeners. I'm Casey Hobbs.
And I'm Shane Mason, and we're the hosts of Nurse Talk Radio.
Here's what we're talking about this week.
The year 2016 was a particularly troubling year for pipeline spills in the U.S., according to EcoWatch, which cited 220 incidents in 2016 alone. Over the past decade, the number of significant pipeline incidents, defined as those resulting in injury or fatality, have increased by 27%, reported EcoWatch, citing data from the Hazardous Materials Safety Administration arm of the U.S. Department of Transportation.
The corrosive tar sands oil that is extracted, transported, and refined by the Keystone Project is a major contributor to climate change. An assessment from the pre-Trump administration Environmental Protection Agency found that well-to-well emissions from tar sands are 82% higher than for conventional oil.
President Trump's green light for the Keystone and Dakota Access pipeline projects ignores a library full of the harm that is posed by the unwarranted project, said NNU co-president Gene Ross. In claiming Keystone is in the national interest, the administration is again turning truth on its head. What's in the national interest is protecting our people from the adverse effects of the pipeline on human health and the long-term damage to our planet.
We've known for some time about the risks of living anywhere near some of these pipeline spills and accidents, and they're directly linked to heart and lung diseases, and more to what we would call cognitive issues, fuzzy brain, poor memory, that kind of thing. And that's one of the reasons we have opposed not just Keystone. Keystone has been sort of like the poster child for what's wrong with pipelines in general.
What impact does fossil fuel extraction have on climate change? It's not just humans, it's the climate as a whole, right?
Exactly. And if you remember back to the primaries, the Democratic primaries, when Bernie Sanders said the single biggest threat we have now is the climate crisis, he was absolutely 100% correct. I look at what's going on now with Syria and our bombings, and am I afraid? Absolutely. But I am more afraid of the fact that people just seem to be ignoring what's happening to our planet. And if you think others that you might be afraid of won't be fighting us for not oil anymore, but water and a place to stay,
yes,
that is a huge, huge, frightening piece.
It is very scary what he's doing with the EPA, what he's doing with regulations. He's bringing back coal. I mean, all of these things that we know are killing us.
Exactly.
It's very frightening, Gene, and I'm so glad that NNU is continuing on this fight because, I don't know what else we can do with this presidency.
No. Yeah, well, the resist movement, right?
Yes.
And we're all doing it. Now, those of us who've been in the movement for a while, yourselves included, know about the advantage of taking it to the street, getting out in the public, chanting, yelling, saying, take notice of what's going on. The rest of us do recognize what's going on, and you need to do something about it. And if you've never believed that kind of thing has worked before, then you're not paying attention to what is working right now. And it has our politicians scared, which is a good thing. It has them afraid, or you wouldn't be seeing the legislation that you do attacking protesters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And, my understanding is that most of this oil is not even going to come to the U.S. for consumption. So who benefits from the Keystone Pipeline?
Well, the people that usually do, the people that own the pipelines, the people that own the businesses. For some time now, I have wondered where they think they're going to go. You know, the planet belongs to all of us, but apparently they don't care as long as their profits become bigger and bigger and bigger. So no, the oil is not going to go to us. In fact, we are one of the major exporters of oil right now.
Yes.
We don't need it for us.
So let's talk about a ruptured pipeline near Belfield, North Dakota in December 2016 that dumped more than 176,000 gallons of crude oil, much of it into a tributary of the Little Missouri River.
Exactly. In fact, that year was a really, really bad year for pipeline spills. You can look at EcoWatch, who's been watching these, and they cited 220 incidents just in 2016. We know of another you pick your state. Iowa, there was another one. I think that was in late January. And that one actually is by the pipeline operated by the same company that leaked ammonia last October. And in that accident, that killed one person, and you had to evacuate over 23 households.
So how do proponents ignore these ruptured pipelines, and how are they keeping this information out of the news? 220 spills is a lot of spills.
Well, unfortunately, the public doesn't know a lot of this. You know, our media has been complicit in picking up stories that, I don't know, I guess you'd say if it bleeds, it leads, and this doesn't alarm them. So they're complicit in keeping from people exactly what is happening. So if you've never been politically active before, now is the time to start. We as nurses won't let you down. We never give up, so we'll keep on fighting. We've got your back.
Check out our show at nursetalksite.com and listen every Saturday and Sunday right here on Progressive Voices.
You've been listening to Top of the Hour on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn. Commercial-free interviews and exclusive progressive news and information at the top of the hour.
The Leslie
Great guest joining us for the entire hour. But we do welcome, and we definitely invite you to call with your questions, your opinions, your comments, and your concerns. Way to do that, 888-6-LESLIE, 888-653-7543. That is the number. More than a pleasure to have on the program Mike Wright. Mike is Director of Health, Safety, and Environment for the USW.